Shalom. In this series, we're talking about commandments from the law of Moses that apply to us today. And we're on commandment number 18. And this commandment is the commandment to reverence the house of the Lord. It's found in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 30, I want to say. Yep, Leviticus 19, verse 30. And we read, Mitzvah aseh liro min hamikdash. Mikdash is the same word. It literally is the word for the holy temple, the Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem. And the Peshat, or the plain, literal interpretation of this scripture that we find, which says, Umikdashi tira'u, and reverence my sanctuary. The Peshat meaning, or the literal interpretation there, is that we're supposed to reverence the holy temple in Jerusalem. But the rabbis have expounded and applied this commandment to us in the diaspora, to us who are living outside the land of Israel while there is no temple, based on the scripture from the prophets in Ezekiel 11 verse 16, where he says, "Yet I have been to them as a little sanctuary," or a little mikdash. So what they say is, based on that, we have little sanctuaries, little mikdashim, which are our churches, our synagogues, our Beit HaMidrashim, our houses of study, things like that. And what we do is we're supposed to apply this commandment that refers to the Beit HaMikdash. We're supposed to apply it to the little sanctuaries, and we're supposed to have a reverence and a respect for them. And the question that we ask in each one of these Mitzvah Minute videos is this commandment something that is bondage, that is cruel, that is punishment, something that is obsolete and done away with, and that we can honor and respect and serve our God by rejecting and ignoring? If we come into God's house disrespectfully and irreverent, is that loving God? Is that serving God the way that the scriptures teach us? Because what I submit to you is that we can't. This is not something we can ignore. It's not something that we can break, disobey, and still call ourselves obedient, loving servants, loving children of our Father in heaven. I don't believe that we can ignore any of God's commandments and truly love Him. I believe every commandment teaches us to love God in a different way. And I believe that this commandment is just as important as any other commandment. This commandment that we find in the law of Moses, as well as all the commandments there.
It's 1:00 a.m. This is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Today is your day.
I don't know if you guys heard that or not. That's my computer telling me that today is the Lord's day. Anyway, we need to, in order to truly love God, we need to obey His commandments. Yeshua said that if you love me, you'll obey my commandments, because the commandments are what teach us to love God. And they all teach us to love God in a different way. They attach our hearts and our souls and our lives to God in a different way. Every commandment deals with a different area of our life. God is requiring something of us in that area. And as we submit to Him in that area of our life and we observe that commandment, we literally attach ourselves to God by observing His commandments. The Bible tells us in the Psalm 119, I don't remember the specific verse, but it tells us in Psalm 119, He says, "Your law is truth." And He tells us also in the 119th Psalm that David says, "Your law is light." Every commandment in Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 or 6 verse 23. I'll post it in the vid later. But in Proverbs it says that the law is light and the commandment is a lamp. And the understanding there is that as we observe God's commandments, we let the light of God into an area of our life that was formerly dark. And the light of God shines in us and through us to the world. So there's another scripture in the Proverbs, which I have to post as well, which says that the life of a righteous person is like the light of dawn that breaks forth mightily and grows brighter and brighter to the perfect day. How do our lives grow brighter and brighter? Well, if the commandments are light, if the Torah is light, then, and we know we can't observe every commandment overnight. It's a learning process and a growing process. As we learn the commandments and grow in our understanding of them and our application of them in our lives grow brighter and brighter. And this is what Yeshua said in the 7th chapter of Matthew. He said, let your light so shine. I'll have to post all these scriptures. I apologize if I didn't quote it right, just off the top of my head. But he said, let your light so shine before men that they see your good works being your mitzvot, the commandments of God that you're obeying, the things that you're doing. Let them see your good works, and they'll glorify your Father in heaven. Our light shines when people see our good works, when they see us obeying the mitzvot of our Father in heaven. That's where the light comes from. And so, we see a commandment here to reverence the sanctuary of the Lord. I think we would all agree that that's something that we still need to do. And we also know that Yeshua taught that as well, and he upheld that. And he got very upset with the people who didn't do that in Matthew chapter 21, verse 12. Yeshua goes into the temple, and he sees people making a mockery of the house of the Lord, ripping people off, selling stuff to the people, selling lame animals and blemished animals for sacrifices. The priests were involved in this. The Sadducees and Pharisees were doing these things. And he got so mad, he made a scourge and a whip, and he drove them out of the temple. He turned over the tables. He turned over the money boxes and threw them all out of the temple into the street because they weren't applying, they weren't obeying this very commandment. So this is something Yeshua observed. He obeyed it, and he did it. And as followers of Yeshua, as followers of the Messiah, we should obey and observe the exact same commandments with the exact same passion and fervence that he had. Shalom. Hope this helps you guys. God bless you.